Welcome to Work in Progress, Conversations with Creators. I'm your host, Logan Roy Speitman. On today's program, I have with me Virgil Ortiz, a really incredible Pueblo artist who makes a lot of work about the Pueblo Revolt, seeing it in the past and thinking about the future and science fiction. We had an incredible conversation, and I hope that you enjoy.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Hello, Virgil. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, great to have you here. So I hear you have a new balloon project. Why don't you tell us about that?
How exciting. Definitely, we just finished this project for the Balloon Fiesta that happens every year in Albuquerque. And I'm working with Jim Long and Heritage Hotels. So being friends with him, he approached me and asked me, have you ever designed a balloon? Would you want to try it? And I was like, oh, hell yeah, I'll try that. So it was just like so exciting to be working on this project. It probably took about a year. Once they started to print the balloon and sew it, it was probably about 4 months. And we're trying to beat the deadline because it has to pass all the FAA regulations and stuff, which I had no idea.
I don't know about that either. What do you have to pass?
I mean, it's just like it's an aircraft. So you have to pass all that. And I mean, that was way over my head. I had no idea. So I was like, okay, I'll design it. So I came up with like 13 different designs and showed it to Jim, and I gave him some like of our family's kind of pottery design, geometric designs, and then also some of my characters from my 1680, 2180 Pueblo Revolt series. And he chose one of those ones, which surprised me because I thought it would mainly go for like the geometric pottery designs, what our family is known for. And when he chose that, I was like, okay, cool. Started focusing in on that. Giving him thinking of the balloon as a 3D object, and it's 7 stories tall. That's pretty crazy how big that is when it's inflated, but figured it out and worked with their design team, and I think it was made in Michigan, I'm not too sure, and then they brought it here, and we were here during the Balloon Fiesta, and there was like a give or take, it might go up, it might be here, it might not be, we had no idea. But we got the call at the 11th hour saying, like, it's going to be there tomorrow. So we changed our flights because we were supposed to be back in Los Angeles and changed our flights and stayed the night and got here at 4 a.m. And there it was. It was all put together, being blown up. And it was just quite a major thing to see. And just to know how many eyes would be on it. And that just opened up the door again. And I'm always looking for different venues that are different than the ones that I normally work in, such as museums or galleries. But now to have it at the Balloon Fiesta, a whole sets of different eyes from that have never looked at artwork before, the clay works that I'm known for, and now to have him look at the balloon was quite exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've obviously you have a great career. You've been in major museums. We were just talking about in Paris and all over Europe and. But I think there's like a special honor if you're from New Mexico to have a balloon and Balloon Fiesta. It's kind of like you've made it into the sort of pantheon of, I don't have a balloon.
That was like, it blew my mind, first of all, just to be able to have the chance to do that. And it was Heritage Hotel's 20th anniversary. And having known them and a lot of people that do work there, I jumped on board right away to join this project and to work with JJ Mancini, who was the pilot. It was just really cool to get to know like the whole insides of the whole balloon world. Yeah, like all the people that do chase the balloons, like they're all named, their little packs and everything, like just based on the balloon's name, right? So. My balloon's title was Revolt Rising, and it featured 2 of my characters on each side of the balloon. One of them was dedicated to women empowerment, and her name was Ta'u, leader of the Blind Archer, and then also the translator, he's the leader of the Spirit World Army. So to have those up there and to have, I didn't even know they did like pins or like collectibles, like the trading cards and all. Yeah. So that gave my team and I a huge opportunity to not only have that many eyes on it, but to pass out cards and to educate globally and all the visitors about the Pueblo Revolt and who we are as Pueblo people.
Yeah. So talk a little bit more about that, about growing up Pueblo, and about how, I mean, really most of your art is focused on the Pueblo Revolt and seeing it in history, and then thinking also about the future.
Yeah, definitely. I loved always reminiscing when I was a kid. When I was 6 years old, I was able to see Star Wars the first time it came out in the theaters, the first Star Wars, and it left such a huge impact on me. I love the sci-fi about it, everything about sci-fi, like Battlestar Galactica, Star Wars, Star Trek, all of it. And to be able to reminisce and, think about like everything, all the imagery, all the characters, all the ships, where they came, how they dressed, where they came from, how they spoke, just had a huge impact on me. So growing up, like when I was like 16 years old, when I decided that my main point in life was to educate globally about the 1680 Pueblo Revolt. And I had to think, as like, how am I going to get a lot of eyes to understand what I'm doing, a lot of ears. And I said, okay, like since I was 6 years old, I learned that whole movie. So I said, okay, I'm going to write a movie script. So now it's been 24 years since I've been working on this project, 1680, 2180 Pueblo Revolt, and writing a movie script about it. So all my different shows that I do in exhibitions, in galleries or museums, I release different characters each year, and I have developed 19 different groups of characters that represent the 19 pueblos that are left here in New Mexico today. So it's always educating through artwork. So, of course, Pope being the leader of the Pueblo Revolt, he was a real person out of Oke-Awinge Pueblo, and then also giving him a sidekick, a woman who's bigger, stronger, and her name is Ta'u, leader of the Blind Archers. So I wanted to create a woman, really badass character that will give all the indigenous Pueblo women and everybody else a superhero to look up to, a person of color, a woman, and just to show how badass they really are.
Yeah. And I'm always fascinated by anyone who's sort of blending history and fiction, and which I agree with you. This is the way to do it, because you want people to, no one wants to history for some reason, even though it's bloody and very, if you're there, obviously it's life or death. But once it's history, for some reason it's boring to a lot of people. I don't know why, but to make it interesting, I think giving it a narrative frame is the way to do it. But I wonder, kind of like, how did you decide sort of which parts of the actual history you wanted to include and which things you wanted to fictionalize?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, like, again, reminiscing back to when I was a kid, like we weren't taught about the Pueblo Revolt. It was not in our history books, taught in classes. So, most of the world doesn't know about our people because it has been swept under the carpet because of the bloodshed, the genocide, the rape, the imprisonment of our people, what happened. So now to come up with a storyline of our history, but also putting my spin of it and taking it into the future, happening simultaneously between 1680, the present, and the future, all the time jumping, coming involved, and that was my way, because I'm not an academic person at all. So the way that I thought I could tell it best was through sci-fi. So now you see the 19 groups of characters representing the 19 pueblos here in Pueblo, the pueblos that are left in New Mexico today. But back in 1680, there were like about 45 pueblos. But combining all this history that we do know and learning from a person that spearheaded the whole education about the Pueblo Revolt was Herman Agoyo. He's also from Oke-Awinge, and he's my manager, Tish Agoyo's father. So watching his work when I was younger and learning more and more through his teachings, he had seen what we're doing because we started to do it as well. And to help him and his team take a statue of Pope and take it to the Statuary Hall in D.C. for New Mexico, we helped raise funds for that. So we really started to get into helping that whole team raise money and get that statue there. And it was awesome. The second we seen Cliff Rao had designed this sculpture, They took it to Okeawenge into their plaza, and they unveiled it there. And from there, they said their prayers, and they took it to D.C. So to be a part of that was really amazing. And what Herman Agoyo seen, what we were doing, me and Tish were, how we're kind of trying to use futuristic storytelling about the Pueblo Revolt. He got it immediately, and he just said, like, you guys keep on doing this. Like, this is my work, what I've done, and, like, you guys are learning from me. But he goes, like, it's a different way of storytelling. But recognizing me with my ways from Cochiti of making storytelling clay works, right, all fits together.
Yeah.
So this is what I use, or any other type of medium that I can get my hands on to learn and to help me develop not only the characters but the whole storyline of the Pueblo Revolt mixing with the future, and basically saying a prayer to learn from our past, not to repeat it. But in today's crazy political world of what's going down, like, it's more important now to tell our story and to show the way that we got through it. Both sides came back together and we live in peace. But it's horrific what's going on, and I hope, like, we can learn from our past.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you've studied history. Anyone who studies history can see generation after generation the kind of attempts to erase your history.
Yeah.
Our shared history. And it does seem like there's been more of a push toward that recently.
Right. It's a rewriting, trying to push everything under the carpet, and it's just like, it's crazy. But, we have to tell our history, whether it be through art, through schools, right? And my prayer when I started this 24 years ago, it's like, I wanted any other up-and-coming artist to see what I was doing and try to understand what I was doing, and to tell them why I was doing this. So it's really empowering and amazing to see all these up-and-coming artists talking about the Pueblo Revolt through their artwork. And it's now, I feel like the OG going way back then, but to see all these new artists talking about it, it's like our prayers are being answered.
Yeah.
Right. And it's, like, amazing to see that we are recognizing our history and having the world acknowledge who we are.
Now, you said that art really saved your life. How so?
It kept me out of trouble all the time, like.
Were you getting in a lot of trouble?
I could have. So I really credit the clay to that saved my life.
You knew people that got into trouble?
Friends that... Just watching everybody around me and, like, learning from their mistakes, even from siblings and all. But growing up with the clay, our mother would be on the dining room table. That was her studio. Every day before we went to school, coming back, she'd still be there. Always, like, I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and she would always offer clay to us to, like, pick it up and, see if you like to work with it. And nothing but encouragement, and just their 100% backing us what all the kids wanted to do. And I was the last one, so I was always there working with her, and I just picked it up. It stuck with me. And to have that opportunity to have their full support, and then growing older, knowing that it's a dying art form because of the time it takes to create and use these methods and materials, using what are traditional. We go hand dig our clay. All the materials, the paints and the slips that we use are all from the earth. We fire with dried cow manure and with cedar and aspen wood. So now that I've learned that process, I try to pass it on to the next generation. Anybody from Cochiti that wants to learn it, and to be next to them and tell them that they're not alone, and, like, we have to do this. We can't let it die. It's as important as our language, which I'm not even fluent in, but I think why I'm here is just to make sure that our tradition of pottery does not die out, and also that I educate globally about the 1680 Pueblo Revolt through art.
Yeah. And some people, just seeing your work, because it's so futuristic sometimes and all of that, may not realize really how traditional the process is that you use.
No, it's really cool, because all of Cochiti, historic Cochiti figurative pottery, were all based on social commentary. So back in the samples from, like, the 1800s, you see the Cochiti people, the potters, were making caricatures of people that were new to them, non-Indigenous people that were being brought in on the railroads, at that time. So with more people brought entertainment, and so you got like operas or circus sideshows. So you see our people documenting these characters, or in clay, capturing their essence, and it's kind of like a book or a periodical, a newspaper. So you could kind of look at all the pieces. If you lay them out in a museum, they're rare, but you can see them, and then you see the different parts of what passed through New Mexico at that time. So it's just documenting time, which is pretty cool. And they're all different topics. So you see opera singers, you see conjoined twins from the circus sideshows, tattooed bodies, half man, half woman, half man, half animal. Yeah. There's like really, really cool, intriguing kind of sculptures that they did back then. So now that just opened the door for me to comment on anything that I want in the news today, such as, political stuff. What else would the LGBTQ community, any hot topics that are like worthy or in my head are talking about, to make a clay piece that represents that, so that when all eyes are on it, then you can have something to discuss a topic.
Yeah, no, that's so cool. Have you actually, I don't know, have you shown your work next to, like, in the same exhibition as some of those works from the 1800s?
Yeah, definitely. I try to do that in each show that I do, especially from museums, because I always ask the curators or directors that I'm working with at different venues if they have pieces from Cochiti, the historic work. And if they do, sometimes they don't know that they have it, or they've never been on display. So I am lucky that I get to go back into their vaults and look at the different Pueblo pieces and identify a lot of the works that were Cochiti. Ask them to bring it out for my shows, so that in my exhibitions I tell the reality of what my work is based on. I'm nobody special. I'm a bead in a necklace. I'm following what my ancestors did, making that continuation of work, but having pieces from their museums, bring it out, and then have them on display to show the past, present, and future of where I'm going. So that just shows a whole timeline of where all the work is going, and that we're still here living, thriving, and using traditional methods and materials, but also going into hi-fi or ceramics, and then going to video, into fashion, into all different types of medium that I do work in.
But like the tradition of social commentary really goes back pretty far. Yeah,
definitely. It's cool to be able to have that, because again, you can talk about anything that you want, and it's all that's where all the sci-fi characters come in. A lot of people will be like, "What are you tripping out on all these different sci-fi characters?" But when I explain that to them, it's about the Pueblo Revolt being told in the past, present, and future. Everything goes back to education about the Pueblo Revolt using art. So once they get caught in that, looking at that specific character, they identify with it, or they learn about the character, and it all goes back to the Pueblo Revolt.
What do you think people need to know about the Pueblo Revolt that people may not know?
That was real, first of all. I mean, I want it. The reason why I do my work is to make sure that everybody acknowledges what our Pueblo people in New Mexico went through. The pain, the bloodshed, the torture, the rape, the imprisonment of our people. And it's not in our history books, not in our schools, and most people don't know about it. But when I do shows like in Europe, a lot of people know about our history more than Americans do, because they're taught our history. But in America, a lot of our history is almost being rewritten by whoever's in charge, and that's what's happening a lot in today's society and in the whole political world. So everybody, not only Indigenous people of color, have to stand up and really speak their mind and tell their truth before it's rewritten. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing through our work.
Now, I'm not from New Mexico. I'm more of an outsider than most people here, I guess, but trying to learn about all of this. And someone was telling me, another Pueblo artist was saying, most Pueblo people don't vote, I guess, or a lot of them don't in the elections and stuff. Like there's a sort of idea of like, which I understand, like you want to have your sort of own autonomy, like to vote is sort of admitting that, or buying into the idea that the white power structure is real, or, that you're not. Okay, I understand that, wanting to be autonomous, but I wonder, because I feel like, I don't know, if everyone did organize politically, you could probably have a lot more power
Yeah, I'm not sure that's so true because
Yeah.
like right now I'm politically active, so I try to like use my stories on Instagram to really push the what's happening politically and make sure that everybody knows what's going on. Not to push it on them, but just to open their eyes, let them make their own decision. But the Pueblo people are used to self-governing in each Pueblo, so that's kind of our own. We have our own governors, our own way of authority, and that run our Pueblos. But people do vote, and like having Deb Holland, like for instance, to be from Isleta and to have a powerful woman, awesome woman, smart woman, example for all the women and all the tribes, all the Pueblos. It's going to help everybody engage into voting, which is I pray that happens.
Yeah.
And
so you think things are moving in that direction?
Yeah, a lot more so now.
And more than in the past, maybe this is more true.
Yeah, and of course, like I don't know exactly when Pueblo people were allowed to vote,
right?
And that was not too long ago. So, the facts still have to come out, and we have to educate about how we're trying. I mean, suppressing our vote, suppressing our voices.
Yeah.
And none of the treaties, a lot of them are not being held up by the government. So a lot of us they don't trust that, you know what I mean? So now that they can actually see it, I hope they tune into what's going on, the reality of what's going on outside the reservations, and like really get politically active.
Do you believe that art can change the world?
Oh yeah, it has, and it will be, and it always will be. Changing everything, like what you want to learn about it. When you look into it, you can not only learn about the person that created it, whether they're still here on Earth or not, but also to really look at the meaning behind everybody's artwork. And through my artwork is all based on educating globally about the Pueblo revolts, and I hope people acknowledge that and learn about it.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here and doing what you do. You do great work, and we're happy to have you on the show and have you in New Mexico, and I'm happy I get to be here and talk to you. So
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.